Max Verstappen has won 2 consecutive world championships and sounds like he's pretty tired. At least that's what his father, Jos Verstappen, had to say. Apparently, he had a pretty tough season and is looking forward to a well-deserved break. In today's video, we'll be getting into the details of Verstappen's tough season and how he's expected to perform in 2023. Stay tuned to hear all about it, starting with a tough beginning after rough ends. The 2021 Abu Dhabi Grand Prix ended in a bit of controversy, with many blaming Verstappen for taking away Hamilton's 8th world title. And if we're being honest, we've had several nightmares where we've woken up yelling, "No, Mikey, no, that was not right." But we're just gonna come out and say it. It wasn't Verstappen's fault. And besides, if anyone deserved that title, besides Hamilton of course, then it was probably Verstappen. Not a lot of people think that way, because poor Max had to face a lot of backlash throughout the season. And well, his 2022 victory wasn't free of controversy as well. Yep, we're hinting at the drama that recently took place between him and his teammate Perez. So it's kinda understandable that he just wants to leave all this season behind him and move forward. At least, that's what his father said. Following up, let's look into what Jos Verstappen had to say. Max's father spoke to reporters after the last race of this season, saying that the winter break was just what his son needed. He also mentioned that Max was pretty much done with everything at that moment and wanted to rest. Well, lucky for him, he won't have to face the pressure to improve in the next season, because he bagged his 2nd championship just now. So, with a 2nd title under his belt, the man can really let his hair down and chill. Following up, has Max established his dominance on the track? Alright, he might have 2 consecutive wins, but F1 is often very dependent on luck, so it's gonna take much more than his precious victories to ensure a 3rd one in the upcoming season. But if we're being honest, if Mercedes comes up with another good-for-nothing car, completely putting Lewis Hamilton out of the competition again, then we think Max really doesn't have anything to worry about. And well, the young racer did break some records this year, so it's safe to say that he's gonna stay in the leaf for quite some time now. The man broke the record for most wins in a single season by winning 15 races. Now, this was actually a huge deal, since previously, the all-time F1 legend Mick Schumacher held this record with 14 wins. And well, he didn't just stop there. Verstappen broke Hamilton's record for most points in a single season by scoring an astonishing 454. Previously, Ham had scored 413 points in the 2019 season, which earned him a world title. So yeah, it's safe to say that Verstappen has made quite the name for himself in F1. Moving on, does Jos think his son will win a 3rd title next year? Well, just as we mentioned earlier, Jos is also a bit worried that his son's 3rd world title might not come that easily next year. He thinks that the competition would be closer in the upcoming year. But hey, Max has a lot of time to rest, since the next race won't be held till early March 2023. But the thing is that new regulations might end up having a major impact on how the Red Bull driver performs in the next season. At least, it's gonna give us some interesting battles on the track with a promise of a great championship. And well, Jos Verstappen thinks that as well. Next up, how was this season for Max? Well, the answer is pretty obvious for this one. He will get to take home the World Championship trophy. Now, what else could a driver hope for? But if you factor in his convincing wins throughout the season and the way he was able to keep off the competition, it would be safe to say that this season was probably the most successful season of Verstappen's career up till now. Well, that's something. But here's the thing. Jos also revealed that the season had become less exciting for the Red Bull racer, especially since he already had the win in the bag. Well, we agree that winning a total of 15 races in a 22-race F1 season must have been a tiring feat, but let's hope that Max is able to recover from this pretty soon. And along with the records, this season also brought a lot of green for the Dutch racer. Yep, currently, he's the sport's highest paid driver, leaving everyone, including Lewis Hamilton, behind. He earned a salary of over $34 million, and on top of that, earned some pretty hefty bonuses of over $17 million. Now, that ought to ease the negative impact of all the drama this season brought with it. So maybe there's a silver lining to all of it after all. But will Verstappen continue with his performance in 2023? Now for the big question. Will Verstappen's win streak continue in 2023? Many people are asking this question, and several have weighed in on it as well. Jos Verstappen, as we mentioned earlier, thinks that it might be difficult since nothing is certain. And honestly, we agree, because there's a huge chance that Mercedes will come back with full force next year to make up for the fact that Hamilton wasn't able to win a single race in 2022. And well, George is also on fire. So the two pose a serious threat to Verstappen. But the Red Bull racer isn't ready to let go of the #1 race number. In fact, he even said that he'll continue using it as long as he's the defending world champion. Well, seems like Red Bull isn't gonna back down anytime soon. Coming up next, Verstappen plans to honor traditions and stick with #1 in 2023. As is customary in F1, the defending champ gets to pick between his personal race number of #1 after they win a world title. And well, Verstappen has decided to go with #1 again. Well, that's certainly great news. We can picture his team principal, Chris Horner, smiling with a proud expression on his face. So, instead of going with his number 33, something that he's used since his karting days, we'll once again be seeing number 1 on the front of the Dutchman's car. That ought to be a proud moment for Red Bull and Max's family. Following up, here's what Verstappen had to say about his decision. Well, the man is well aware of what an honor it is to drive a car with the number 1 printed on it. While talking to reporters in Abu Dhabi, the Red Bull driver mentioned his decision and said that for him, starting number 1 was pretty much the most beautiful thing for any driver. We definitely agree with that, and we're also certain that the entire F1 paddock shares that sentiment. He went on to say that it wasn't very often that someone got a chance to drive the number 1 car in their F1 career, and while talking about his old number, he said that he can always go back to number 33 when he's not the world champion. It might come as a shock to you, but Verstappen became the first driver to use the number 1 on his car since it was last used by Vettel in 2014, the year when this rule was first introduced. Hamilton, in his time as the defending champ, didn't use number 1. And as for Nico Rosberg in 2016, well, he chose not to defend his title in the next season. Lastly, what does Verstappen expect from the 2023 season? As we discussed before, Max is willing to go all in for the next season, but even he's a bit skeptical about how things will go. Talking about his success in 2022, Verstappen remarked that it hadn't only been a successful season for him, but it was also a great year for the Red Bull team. And that's absolutely right. They ended up winning the Constructors' title for the first time since 2013, which was an amazing accomplishment. But hey, it was the perfect way to appreciate the hard work all the team had put in behind the scenes. And well, Verstappen basically killed it on the stage, but getting the same results again in the next year would be very difficult to match. Max also implied that it would be next to impossible to try and get better results than this one. Of course, we're all assuming that by the next season, Mercedes would get it all together and finally manage to build a decent car to put Lewis Hamilton in. Verstappen thinks that 2022 was a one-off event and that it would be really hard to recreate it, so they should cherish the memories they've already made. That's a wrap for this video, folks. Will Verstappen be able to win the title again in the next season? Let us know what you think in the comments down below. Make sure to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel for more awesome videos like this. See you in the next one, the latest updates.